The desperate Call High Minister Nix stood at the edge of the verdant chamber, her pale green skin reflecting the emerald light that filtered through the transparent ceiling dome. Outside, the 3 moons of Novus hung in perfect alignment, a celestial event that occurred only once every 12 years. Normally this would be a time of celebration, but today, the chamber was filled with dread. "Show us again," she said, her melodic voice barely audible. Chief Scientist Zarian nodded, his long fingers moving gracefully over the projection console. Above the circular council table, a hologram materialized, a swirling mass of energy, beautiful yet terrifying. "The quantum anomaly was discovered 3 days ago," Zarian explained, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of extreme stress among Viridians. "It's forming at the quantum level, a tear in the fabric of space-time itself. Our calculations are conclusive." The hologram expanded, showing the anomaly's projected growth over time, eventually engulfing the entire planet. "In 40 days, Zarian continued, the anomaly will reach critical mass. When that happens, our world will be torn apart at the subatomic level." The 7 members of the Viridian High Council exchanged glances. Their species had evolved over millions of years on this gentle world, a planet with minimal geological activity, no predators larger than a small rodent, and perfect weather patterns. They had developed remarkable advancements in quantum theory, art, philosophy, and sustainable living, but they had never faced extinction before. "Can we evacuate?" asked Council Member Lysera, her voice trembling. Zarian shook his head. "We have only 12 interplanetary vessels. Even running continuously for 40 days, they could transport less than 1% of our population." "What about our defense systems?" asked another council member. "We have none," Minister Nix reminded them. "We've never needed them. Our atmospheric harmonizers can neutralize meteorological threats, but they're useless against a quantum anomaly." Silence fell over the chamber. The Viridians had been part of the Galactic Consortium for over 2 centuries, but as a non-interventionist member, they were classified as a harmony species, evolved on a world so gentle that they had never developed aggressive tendencies or defensive technologies. "We must send a distress call to the consortium," Nix finally said. "It's our only hope." Within hours, Novus's most sophisticated communication array, normally used to share their music and philosophical discussions across neighboring star systems, was repurposed. Now it would broadcast a plea for survival. Zarian stood before the transmission apparatus, his voice steady despite his fear. "This is Novus of the Viridian people. A quantum anomaly has formed near our world. Impact in 40 days. We have no means to neutralize it. Our entire species will perish without intervention. We beg for assistance from any who can hear this message." The signal shot outward, carried on all frequencies, repeating continuously. It spread across thousands of light years in all directions, reaching the ears of many spacefaring civilizations. 5 light years away, the message reached the Galactic Consortium's central administrative world, Harmonia Prime. The Consortium prided itself on being the epitome of civilized space, a collection of over 300 species who had all evolved on gentle worlds similar to Novus. Species that developed through cooperation rather than competition. In the Great Chamber of Coordination, representatives gathered as the emergency signal was replayed. Consortium High Administrator Pellin, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, called the session to order. "We have received a distress call from Novus," Pellin announced. "They face extinction from a quantum anomaly." Delegate Gyron of the Aelonian cluster spoke first. "What aid do they request?" "They have no specific request," Pellin replied. "Their technological development doesn't include quantum stabilization mechanisms. This would require significant resources," said Representative Thanos of the Celestial Alignment, his crystalline appendages vibrating with concern. "Ships, equipment, specialists, all diverted from existing projects. And who would bear the economic burden of such intervention?" asked Representative Mira, her tentacles waving in agitation. For 4 hours, the representatives debated. The project Consortium operated by meticulous planning. Resources were allocated decades in advance. Emergency funds existed, but accessing them required approval from 23 different committees. The Viridians are consortium members, pointed out Representative Orlan of the Xinthian network. We have an obligation to help them. But a quantum anomaly? Countered Representative Mira. Has anyone ever successfully neutralized one of that magnitude? We might be committing resources to a hopeless cause. The universe is harsh, said Representative Thanos quietly. Species rise and fall. It is not always our place to interfere with cosmic events. Eventually, a compromise emerged. An evaluation team would be sent to assess the situation. If the danger proved real and solvable, a relief mission could be organized after proper committee approval. How soon can the evaluation team depart? Asked Pelon. We can prepare a ship in 8 days, the fleet coordinator replied. They could reach Novus in approximately 32 days. That leaves only 8 days before the anomaly reaches critical mass, Orlan noted. We must verify all facts before committing resources, Thanos insisted. The motion passed with a large majority. The consortium would investigate carefully, properly, and thoroughly, as they always did. At the edge of known space, 40 light-years from Novus, the distress call reached different ears. The UES Stormbreaker patrolled the border of human space, a massive vessel nearly a kilometer long, bristling with weapons and sensor arrays. Humans called their vessels ships, but to the rest of the galaxy they were monsters of metal and power. Captain Alara Frost sat in the command chair, her muscular frame tense as she reviewed tactical reports. At 45, she had spent 30 years in the United Earth Fleet, rising through the ranks during the Martian conflict and the Battle of Proxima Centauri. Her dark skin bore scars from both engagements, marks she wore with pride. Captain, said Communications Officer Marcus Vega, turning in his chair with a puzzled expression. We're picking up a distress call, non-human origin. Put it through, Frost ordered. The desperate message from Novus played on the bridge. The crew listened in silence. The aliens feared transcending species barriers. Location? Frost asked when it finished. Outer spiral sector, Captain. About 40 light-years from our position. Frost nodded slowly. That's consortium space, technically. Lieutenant Commander Dmitry Volkov at the science station pulled up data on his screen. I'm analyzing the quantum data they transmitted. The anomaly is real, Captain, and it's catastrophic. Their extinction level prediction appears accurate. Recommendations? Frost asked, looking around the bridge. It's not our jurisdiction, Security Chief Javier Rodriguez pointed out. The consortium has made it clear they don't want humans involved in their affairs. This was an understatement. For the past century, humanity had been labeled as Deathworlders by the consortium. A species evolved on a high-gravity planet with extreme weather patterns, tectonic instability, and predatory megafauna. Earth's harsh conditions had forced humans to become stronger, more aggressive, and more adaptable than most galactic species. These traits made the consortium deeply uncomfortable. Human applications for membership had been under review for 70 years. The Viridians are harmony species, added Dr. Olivia Nash, the ship's xenobiologist. They evolved on a world with no natural disasters, minimal gravity, and no predators. Physically and psychologically, there are opposites. Frost stood, walking to the holographic display showing the Viridian world, a beautiful blue-green planet orbiting a stable yellow star. How long would it take us to reach them at emergency speed? She asked. 9 days, Captain, replied Navigation Officer Hiroshi Tanaka. But that would mean crossing 3 consortium boundaries without permission. And if we were to send a message to Earth Command requesting authorization? Frost asked. Round-trip communication would take 4 days minimum, Vega said. Then add time for the bureaucracy to make a decision, which would likely be negative, Rodriguez finished. The diplomatic corps has been walking on eggshells, with the consortium for decades. Frost stared at the hologram, her decision already forming. Earth had shaped humanity into what the galaxy feared, a species that had evolved fighting for survival every day of its existence. But that same harsh cradle had taught humans something the consortium species often lacked: decisive action in the face of death. "Send a message to Fleet Command," she ordered. "Inform them that we've received a distress call from Novus and that we are responding under Emergency Protocol 7. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "Captain, Protocol 7 is for imminent threats to sentient life. Using it without prior authorization could end my career," Frost finished. "I'm aware, Chief." She turned to the navigation station. "Plot a course to Novus, maximum speed. Send a message to the consortium informing them of our response, but we're not waiting for permission." "Yes, Captain," Tanaka replied, already entering. "The coordinates." Frost addressed the entire bridge crew. "I know what I'm asking. If anyone has objections, voice them now." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Dr. Nash smiled grimly. "Let's show the consortium what Deathworlders do when lives are on the line. Accra." First contact. 9 days after sending their desperate plea into the void, the Viridians detected ships entering their system. The news spread rapidly through the crystalline spires of Harmony City, igniting cautious hope among the populace. In the verdant chamber, the High Council gathered around the monitoring systems, eagerly anticipating the arrival of the consortium's evaluation team. "Multiple vessels detected entering the outer system," reported a junior scientist, her voice trembling with excitement. "Approaching at..." "That can't be right." "What is it?" High Minister Nix asked. "The vessels are moving at speeds far beyond consortium capabilities," Zarian said, taking over the console, "and there are 17 of them." As the sensor data clarified, confusion replaced hope. These were not the elegant, crystalline ships of the consortium. These vessels were dark, angular behemoths, some nearly a kilometer in length, their hulls, scarred and reinforced, bristling with what could only be weapons systems. "Who are they?" Council member Lasara whispered, her 4 eyes wide with alarm. "The consortium would have sent a single diplomatic vessel." High Minister Nix studied the approaching fleet, an unfamiliar sensation coursing through her. Something Viridians rarely experienced: primitive fear. "They responded to our call," she said, forcing steadiness into her voice. "We must meet them with open minds, not apprehension. They could be pirates," warned Councilmember Tavril, "or resource hunters. Our world is rich in quantum crystals." Zarian shook his head, analyzing the data. "Pirates wouldn't bring mining vessels, science ships, and what appear to be engineering platforms. These beings, whoever they are, have assembled a fleet specifically designed to address our crisis." After much debate, the council decided to send a welcoming delegation to the capital's ceremonial gardens, the traditional place for greeting honored visitors. Zarian would lead the scientific team, while Minister Nix would represent the political authority. Captain Alara Frost stood on the bridge of the UES Stormbreaker as they entered orbit around Novus. The main view screen displayed a world of breathtaking beauty. Vast turquoise oceans, emerald forests, and cities that seemed to be constructed of living crystal that caught and amplified the light of their sun. "It's like something from a fairy tale," murmured Lieutenant Commander Volkov. "And just as defenseless," Frost added. "No orbital platforms, no defense grid, not even basic planetary shields." She had spent the 9-day journey studying everything Earth knew about the Viridians, which wasn't much. The consortium classified them as a harmony species and limited information sharing with non-members. "Captain, we're receiving landing coordinates," Vega reported. "They've invited us to what appears to be a ceremonial garden. Prepare the diplomatic shuttle," Frost ordered. "Dr. Nash, you'll lead the first contact team. Keep it small. We don't want to overwhelm them." In her quarters, Dr. Olivia Nash prepared her team. At 53, she was one of Earth's foremost xenobiologists, with experience in 7 first contact scenarios. Still, this one was unique: humans rushing to save a consortium species without authorization. "Remember," she told the 4 specialists, joining her, "Viridians have no evolutionary experience with predators or aggression. Their fight-or-flight response is minimally developed. Move slowly, speak softly, and maintain distance unless invited closer." Hard to believe they've survived as a species, muttered Lieutenant Jackson, a quantum physicist. They evolved on a paradise world, Nash explained. No natural disasters, stable climate, abundant resources. Their technological development focused on art, philosophy, and theoretical sciences rather than defense or resource competition. Our opposites, said Lieutenant Rivera, the linguistic specialist. Precisely, Nash agreed. Which is why we're here. We evolved solving problems through action. They evolved through contemplation. Together we might save their world. 2 hours later, the human shuttle descended through Novus's atmosphere. Designed for diplomatic missions, it was less imposing than military craft, but still unmistakably human in design, efficient, powerful, and built to withstand hostile environments that Novus had never known. The landing site was a garden of extraordinary beauty. Crystalline plants formed intricate patterns that resonated with harmonic frequencies as the breeze passed through them, creating ever-changing melodies. Hundreds of Viridians had gathered to witness the arrival, their slender bodies and four-eyed, faces filled with cautious curiosity. The shuttle touched down with a gentle hiss, its landing systems compensating for Novus's lower gravity automatically. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door opened, and the aliens emerged. The Viridians collectively took a step back. These creatures were unlike anything in their experience, shorter than Viridians but much broader, with dense musculature visible even through their uniforms. They moved with quick, precise motions that seemed almost aggressive to Viridian sensibilities, and their two-eyed faces bore expressions impossible for Viridians to interpret. Zarian stepped forward as the lead alien approached, a female with dark skin and silver-streaked black hair pulled back tightly. She wore a blue uniform with unfamiliar insignia and moved with deliberate slowness, as if making an effort to appear non-threatening. "Greetings," she said, her words translated by a small device at her collar. "I am Dr. Olivia Nash of Earth. We received your distress call and have come to help." Zarian bowed slightly, his forearms extending in the traditional gesture of peaceful welcome. "I am Chief Scientist Zarian of Novus. We thank you for answering our call. May I ask what species you represent?" "We know many members of the Galactic Consortium, but none like yours." Nash smiled. "We are humans from the planet Earth. We are not members of the Consortium, though we have relations with them." Behind her, more humans emerged from the shuttle, carrying equipment and scanning devices. All moved with that same controlled energy that made the Viridians instinctively nervous. These beings seemed coiled like springs, ready to explode into action at any moment. High Minister Nix joined Zarian, her ceremonial robes flowing around her slender frame. "Please, come to our council chamber. We have much to discuss and little time." The verdant chamber had been designed to soothe and impress visitors with its beauty and harmony. Sunlight filtered through living crystal, creating patterns of light that shifted with the day. The 7-member council sat in a semicircle with Nash and her team facing them. Nash explained who the humans were and why they had come. As she spoke, she noted the Viridians' initial tension beginning to fade, replaced by cautious hope. "Our ships are already scanning the quantum anomaly," she explained. "Captain Frost and Fleet Command are developing a plan to stabilize it. We've brought quantum physicists, engineers, and specialized equipment designed to manipulate subspace fields." "How soon can you begin?" Minister Nix asked. "We've already started," Nash replied. "Our advanced teams deployed sensor probes the moment we entered your system." Zarian leaned forward. "The consortium informed us they would send an evaluation team. They should arrive in approximately 23 days. Lieutenant Jackson made a sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. "By then we'll either have stabilized your quantum anomaly or failed. Either way, their evaluation won't matter much." Nash gave her colleague a warning look before turning back to the council. "What my colleague means is that we prefer immediate action when lives are at stake. It's a human trait." "Your people evolved very differently from mine," Nix observed. "You move quickly, speak directly, and build ships designed for war and survival rather than harmony. The consortium representatives once told us about species like yours," added Council Member Tavril. "They called them Deathworlders, beings from harsh planets who developed aggressive traits. Nash nodded. Earth is classified as a Class 13 death world. High gravity, extreme weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, and predators that forced us to become stronger and faster to survive. She looked around at the peaceful chamber, so different from anything on Earth. Your world is beautiful, almost perfect. We're going to do everything in our power to keep it that way. And you believe your technologies of war can stabilize a quantum tear? Asked Tavril, skepticism evident in his melodic voice. We don't build only for war, counselor, Nash replied evenly. Humans have faced extinction-level threats ourselves. We've developed technologies to manipulate gravity, redirect energy, and even stabilize localized space-time fields. We're adaptable. It's our greatest strength. What do you need from us? Zarian asked. Full access to your quantum research, Lieutenant Jackson replied immediately. Viridian theoretical models are legendary even on Earth. You understand the mathematics of quantum mechanics better than any species we've encountered. We also need a liaison team, Nash added. Scientists who can work directly with our engineers to combine Viridian theory with human practical application. In orbit above Novus, the human fleet had deployed into a complex formation. Mining ships were extracting rare elements from the system's asteroid belt to construct specialized equipment. Engineering vessels had unfurled massive energy collectors to harvest the abundant solar radiation. And at the center of it all, the UES Stormbreaker coordinated the entire operation. On the bridge, Captain Frost studied the quantum anomaly displayed on the main screen. It pulsed with eerie beauty, a tear in the fabric of reality itself growing larger by the hour. Analysis, Commander Volkov? She asked. The science officer looked up from his station. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered, Captain. The quantum instability is propagating along 11-dimensional vectors, some of which our sensors can barely detect. Can we neutralize it? Not with conventional methods, Volkov admitted. Quantum torpedoes would only accelerate the degradation. Gravimetric pulses might temporarily slow it, but they won't stop it. Frost frowned. What about the Viridian research? Has Dr. Nash made any progress? She's uploading data now, Rodriguez reported from the security station. The Viridians have developed theoretical models of quantum stabilization, but they've never had to implement them practically. Their science is elegant but untested. Then we'll test it, Frost said firmly. Have engineering begin constructing prototype field generators based on the Viridian models. I want options on my desk within 6 hours. A communication alert sounded, and Vega turned from his station. Captain, we're detecting a vessel entering the system, consortium design. Frost's expression hardened. Already? We didn't expect them for another 3 weeks. It's not the evaluation team, Vega clarified. Smaller vessel, diplomatic classification. They're requesting immediate communication with the unauthorized vessels in protected space. Put them through, Frost ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen shifted to show a slender, pale being with large eyes and an expression of barely concealed outrage. This is Ambassador Tellus of the Galactic Consortium. You are in violation of multiple consortium treaties by entering this system without authorization. Identify yourselves immediately. Ambassador Tellus, I am Captain Alara Frost of the United Earth Fleet vessel Stormbreaker. We responded to a distress call from Novus. Earthers, Tellus said, pronouncing the word like an insult. Deathworlders. You have no authority here. This is a protected observation world under consortium jurisdiction. Frost's expression remained professionally neutral, but her voice took on a harder edge. The Viridians face extinction in 40 days. Their distress call stated clearly that they had no means to address this threat themselves. We chose to act rather than debate. That was not your decision to make, Tellus insisted. There are protocols, procedures. There are lives at stake, Frost interrupted. Our fleet is already working to stabilize the quantum anomaly. You're welcome to help or observe, but we're not leaving. The ambassador seemed shocked by her directness. Consortium species valued careful deliberation and lengthy discussion. Humans were disturbingly blunt. I must contact the Council immediately, Tellus declared. This is completely irregular. As the transmission ended, Rodriguez shook his head. That's going to cause problems, Captain. Probably, Frost agreed. But saving this world is more important than consortium protocols. Maintain our operations schedule and prepare to receive Ambassador Tellus. Let's show the consortium what humans can do when the clock is ticking. On the surface of Novus, in a vast research facility hastily repurposed for the joint human-Viridian effort, Dr. Nash watched Chief Scientist Zarian manipulate a holographic model of the quantum anomaly. His forearms moved through the display with extraordinary grace, adjusting equations and variables faster than human hands could manage. "Your mathematical models are beautiful," she said, genuinely impressed. "I've never seen quantum field theory expressed with such elegance." "Theory has always been our strength," Zarian replied, his four eyes focusing on different aspects of the model simultaneously. "But we've never had to implement these models in practice. The universe has always been kind to us." "Until now," Nash said quietly. Zarian's hands paused momentarily. "Yes, until now." He turned to face her fully. "Why did you come, Dr. Nash?" "The consortium would have eventually sent help." "Eventually," Nash emphasized. "On Earth we have a saying, the grave is full of people waiting for eventually." "Your species thinks differently than mine," Zarian observed. "We contemplate, consider all possibilities, seek consensus, you act. It's how we survived," Nash explained. "On Earth, hesitation meant death. When the predator charges, when the earthquake begins, when the storm hits, you don't have time for committee meetings. And that is why the consortium fears you," Zarian said, his voice gentle but direct. "They see your weapons, your speed, your aggression, and they wonder if you might someday turn those traits against them." Nash smiled sadly. "And that's why we're here, Zarian. To show the galaxy that Deathworlders don't just know how to destroy, we also know how to save." Outside the research facility, the sun of Novus was setting, casting long shadows through the crystal spires of Harmony City. In orbit above, the human fleet worked tirelessly, constructing the devices that might save this gentle world from cosmic destruction. The race against time had begun, with 40 days remaining until extinction, and uncertainty about whether humans and Viridians, evolutionary opposites, could find a common solution before it was too late.